Para Paramahansa Parivajika Stotara Sarashi Srimad Bangladesh A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivajika Stotara Sarashi Srimad Bangladesh Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Just put it there. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Jago Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Mahamahotsava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Janmastami Mahamahotsava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Janmastami Mahamahotsava Ki Jai, Shama Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudidayat nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So this morning I'm going to be reading from Krishna book instead of talking. It's Prabhupada's words, starting with the first volume, the preface and the introduction, and then the first chapter of Krishna's Advent. Preface, introduction. In Western countries, when someone sees the cover of a book like Krishna, he immediately asks, who is Krishna? Who is the girl with Krishna? Etc. This is from the preface. The immediate answer is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How is that? Because he conforms in exact detail to descriptions of the Supreme Being, the Godhead. In other words, Krishna is the Godhead because he is all attractive. Outside the principle of all attraction, there is no meaning to the word Godhead. How is it that one can be all attractive? First of all, if one is very wealthy, he has got great riches, he becomes attractive. And if someone is very famous, he also becomes attractive. And if someone is very beautiful or wise or unattached to all kinds of possessions, he also becomes attractive. So, from the practical experience, we can observe that one is attractive due to 1, wealth, 2, power, 3, fame, 4, beauty, 5, wisdom, and 6, renunciation. One who is in possession of all 6 of these opulences at the same time, who possesses them to an unlimited degree, is understood to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These opulences of the Godhead are delineated by Parashara Muni, the great Vedic authority. We have seen many rich persons, many powerful persons, many famous persons, many beautiful persons, many learned and scholarly persons, and persons in the renounced order of life, unattached to material possessions. But we have never seen any one person who is unlimitedly and simultaneously wealthy, powerful, famous, beautiful, wise, and unattached, like Krishna. In the history of humanity, we've never seen anyone like this. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a historical person who appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago. He stayed on this earth for 125 years and played exactly like a human being, but his activities were unparalleled. From the very moment of his appearance, from the very moment of his appearance to the moment of his disappearance, every one of his activities is unparalleled in the history of the world. And therefore anyone who knows what we mean by Godhead will accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to the Godhead, and no one is greater than him. That is the import of the familiar saying, God is great. There are various classes of men in the world who speak of God in different ways. But according to the Vedic literatures and according to the great acharyas, the authorized persons versed in the knowledge of God in all ages, like acharyas Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Vishnu Swami, Lord Chaitanya, and all their followers, by disciplic succession, all unanimously agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as we, the followers of Vedic civilization, are concerned, we accept the Vedic history of the whole universe, which consists of different planetary systems called Svargaloka, or the higher planetary system, Martyaloka, or the intermediate planetary system, and Pataloka, or the lower planetary system. The modern historians of the earth cannot supply historical evidence of events that occurred before 5,000 years ago. And the anthropologists say that 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had not appeared on the planet because evolution had not reached that point. But the Vedic histories, the Puranas and the Mahabharata, relate human histories which extend millions and billions of years into the past. For example, from these literatures we are given the histories of Krishna's appearances and disappearances millions and billions of years ago. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had many births before, and that he, Krishna, could remember all of them, but Arjuna could not. This illustrates the difference between the knowledge of Krishna and that of Arjuna. Arjuna might have been a great warrior, a well-cultured member of the Yadu Dynasty, but after all, he was an ordinary human being, whereas Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the possessor of unlimited knowledge. Because he possesses unlimited knowledge, Krishna has a memory that is boundless. The knowledge Krishna possesses is so perfect that he remembers all the incidences of his appearances some millions and billions of years in the past. But Arjuna's memory and knowledge are limited by time and place, for he is an ordinary human being. In the 4th chapter, Krishna states that he can remember instructing the lessons of the Bhagavad Gita some millions of years ago to the sun god Vibhishvan. Nowadays, it is the fashion of the atheistic class of men to try to become God by following some mystic process. Generally, the atheists claim that to be God, generally the atheists claim to be God by dint of their imagination or their meditational prowess. Krishna is not that kind of God. He does not become God by manufacturing some mystic process of meditation, nor does he become God by undergoing the severe austerities of the mystic yoga exercises. Properly speaking, he never becomes God because he is the God in all circumstances. Within the prison of his maternal uncle Kamsa, where his father and mother were confined, Krishna appeared outside his mother's body as the four-handed Vishnu Narayan. Then he turned himself into a baby and told his father to carry him to the house of Nanda Maharaj and his wife Yashoda. When Krishna was just a small baby, the gigantic demoness Putana attempted to kill him, but when he sucked her breast, he pulled out her life. That is the difference between the real Godhead and the God manufactured in the mystic factory. Krishna had no chance to practice the mystic yoga process, yet he manifested himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every step, from infancy to childhood, from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to young manhood. In this book, Krishna, all of his activities as a human being are described. Although Krishna plays like a human being, he always maintains his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Krishna is all attractive, one should know that all his desires should be focused on Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that the individual person is the proprietor or master of his own body, but that Krishna, who is the supreme super soul, present in everyone's heart, is the supreme proprietor and supreme master of each and every individual body. As such, if we concentrate our loving propensities upon Krishna only, then immediately universal love, unity, and tranquility will be automatically realized. When one waters the root of a tree, he automatically waters the branches, twigs, and leaves, and flowers. When one supplies food to the stomach, through the mouth, he satisfies all the various parts of the body. The art of focusing one's attention on the Supreme and giving one's love to Him is called Krishna Consciousness. We have inaugurated the Krishna Consciousness movement so that everyone can satisfy his propensity for loving others simply by directing his love toward Krishna. The whole world is very eager to satisfy the dormant propensity of love for others. But the various invented methods like socialism, communism, altruism, humanitarianism, and nationalism, along with whatever else may be manufactured for the peace and prosperity of the world, all are useless and frustrating because of our gross ignorance. We are grossly ignorant of the art of loving Krishna. Generally, people think that by advancing the cause of moral principles and religious rights, they will be happy. Others may think that happiness can be achieved by economic development, and yet others think that simply by sense gratification they will be happy. But the real fact is that people can be happy only by loving Krishna. Krishna can perfectly reciprocate one's loving propensities in different relationships called melos or rasas. Because there are 12 loving relationships, one can love Krishna as the Supreme Unknown, as the Supreme Master, the Supreme Friend, the Supreme Child, the Supreme Lover. These are 5 basic love rasas. One can also love Krishna indirectly in 7 different relationships, which are apparently different from the 5 primary relationships. All in all, however, if one simply reposes his dormant loving propensity in Krishna, then his life becomes successful. This is not a fiction, but is a fact that can be realized by practical application. One can directly perceive the effects that love for Krishna has on his life. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this science of Krishna consciousness is called the King of Knowledge, the King of all confidential things, and the supreme science of transcendental realization. We can directly experience the results of this science of Krishna consciousness because it is very easy to practice and is very pleasurable. Whatever percentage of Krishna consciousness we can perform will become an eternal asset to our life. For it is imperishable in all circumstances. It has now been actually proved that today's confused and frustrated younger generation in the Western countries can directly perceive the results of channeling the loving propensity toward Krishna alone. It is said that although one executes severe austerities, penances, and sacrifices in his life, if he fails to awaken his dormant love for Krishna, then all his penances are to be considered useless. On the other hand, if one has awakened his dormant love for Krishna, then what is the use in executing austerities and penances unnecessarily? The Krishna Consciousness movement is the unique gift of Lord Chaitanya to the fallen souls of this age. It is a very simple method, which has actually been carried out during the last 4 years in the Western countries, and there is no doubt that this movement can satisfy the dormant loving propensities of humanity. This book, Krishna, is another presentation to help the Krishna Consciousness movement in the Western world. This transcendental literature is published with profuse illustrations. People love to read various kinds of fiction, to spend their time and energy. Now this tendency can be directed to Krishna. The result will be the imperishable satisfaction of the soul, both individually and collectively. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that even a little effort expended on the path of Krishna consciousness can save one from the greatest danger. Hundreds and thousands of examples can be cited of people who have escaped the greatest dangers of life due to a slight advancement in Krishna consciousness. We therefore request everyone to take advantage of this great transcendental literature. One will find that by reading one page after another, an immense treasure of knowledge in art, science, literature, philosophy, and religion will be revealed. And ultimately, by reading this one book, Krishna, love of Godhead, will fructify. My grateful acknowledgement is due to Sriman George Harrison, now chanting Hare Krishna, for his liberal contribution of $19,000 to meet the entire cost of printing this volume. May Krishna bestow upon this nice boy further advancement in Krishna consciousness. And at last, my ever-willing blessings are bestowed upon Sriman Shyamasundar Das Adhikari, Sriman Brahmananda Das Brahmachari, Sriman Hayagriva Das Adhikari, Sriman Satsarup Das Adhikari, Srimati Devahuti Devi Dasi, Srimati Jadurani Devi Dasi, Sriman Murlidhara Das Brahmachari, Sriman Bharadraj Dasa Adhikari, and Sriman Pradyumna Das Adhikari, etc., for their hard labor in different ways to make this publication a great success. Hare Krishna. Written on the Advent day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, February 26, 1970, ISKCON Headquarters, 3764 Watsika Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Signed, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Introduction. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahi Mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. From the Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya-lila, 7th chapter, 96th verse. While attempting to write this book, Krishna, let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Om Vishnupad 108, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Then let me offer my respectful obeisances to the Ocean of Mercy, Lord Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, appearing in the role of a devotee just to distribute the highest principles of devotional service. Lord Chaitanya began his preaching from the country known as Gaudiya, West Bengal, and as I belong to the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, I must therefore offer my respectful obeisances to the disciplic succession of that name. This Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is also known as the Brahma Sampradaya because the disciplic succession originally began from Brahma. Brahma instructed the sage Narada. Narada instructed Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva instructed Madhva Puri and Madhvacharya, or Madhvacharya, Madhvapuri or Madhvacharya. Sri Madhva Dendapuri, the originator of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, was a sannyasi, renunciate, who belonged to the Madhva Acharya, disciplic succession. He had many renowned disciples such as Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and Ishvara Prabhu. Ishvara Puri happened to be the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us offer our respectful obeisances to Ishvara Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Srivas Pandit, and Sri Gadadhar Pandit. Next, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Swarup Damodar, who acted as the private secretary to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And let us offer our respectful obeisances to Vasudeva Dutt and the constant attendant of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Govinda, and the constant friend of Lord Chaitanya, Mukunda, and also to Murari Gupta. And let us offer our respectful obeisances to the Six Gosvamis of Vrindavan, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Krishna himself has explained in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that whatever there is, and that whatever there are, and that whenever discrepancies in the regulated principles of man's religious life and prominence of irreligious activities, he appears on this earthly planet. In other words, when Lord Krishna appeared, there was a necessity of minimizing the load of sinful activities accumulated on this planet or in this universe. For affairs of the material creation, Lord Mahavishnu, the plenary portion of Krishna, is in charge. Thus, when the Lord descends, the incarnation emanates from Vishnu. Mahavishnu is the original cause of material creation, and from him Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands, and then Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Generally, all the incarnations appearing within this material universe are plenary expansions from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Therefore, the business of minimizing the overload of sinful activities on this earth does not belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. But when Krishna appears, all the Vishnu expansions join with him. Krishna's different expansions, namely Narayan, the quadruple expansions of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, as well as the partial energies and expansions like Matsya, the incarnation of a fish, and the Yuga avatars, incarnations for the millennium, and the Manvantara avatars, incarnations who appear during the reigns of the Manus, all combine together and appear with the body of Krishna, of the personality of Godhead, is also described in the Brahma Samhita as the abode of Chintamani. That abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There the trees are called desire trees, and the cows are called Surabhi. The Lord is served there by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. His name is Govinda, the primeval Lord, and he is the cause of all causes. There the Lord plays his flute. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like that of a beautiful cloud. On his head is a peacock feather. He is so attractive that he excels thousands of cupids. Lord Krishna only gives a hint in the Bhagavad Gita of his personal abode, which is the supreme, supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna actually appears with all his paraphernalia and demonstrates his activities in Vrindavan, then at Mathura, and then at Dwarka. The subject matter of this book will gradually reveal all these activities. The family in which Krishna appeared is called the Yadu Dynasty. The Yadu Dynasty belongs to the family descending from Soma, the god in the moon planet. There are two different Kshatriya families in the royal order, one descending from the king of the moon planet and the other descending from the king of the sun planet. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he generally appears in the Kshatriya family because he has to establish religious principles or the life of righteousness. The Kshatriya family is the protector of the human race according to the Vedic system. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Ramachandra, he appeared in the family descending from the sun god known as the Raghu Vamsha. And when he appeared as Lord Krishna, he did so in the family known as the Yadu Vamsha. There is a long list of kings in the Yadu Vamsha in the 9th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. All of them were great, powerful, and they were kings. Krishna's father's name was Vasudeva, son of Surasena, descending from the Yadu Dynasty. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not belong to any dynasty of this material world, but the family in which he appears, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, becomes famous by his grace. For example, sandalwood is produced in the states of Malaya. Sandalwood was its own has its own qualification apart from the Malaya. But because accidentally this wood is mainly produced in the states of Malaya, it is known as Malayan sandalwood. Similarly, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, belongs to everyone. But just as the sun rises from the east, although there are other directions from which it could rise, so by his own choice the Lord appears in a particular family, and that family becomes famous. As explained above, when Krishna appears, all his plenary expansions appear with him. Krishna appeared along with Baladev, who is known as his elder brother. Balaram is the origin of Sankarshan, of the quadruple expansion. Balaram is also the plenary expansion of Krishna. In this book, the attempt will be made to show how Krishna appeared in the family of the Yadu Dynasty and how he displayed his transcendental characteristics. This is very vividly described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically the 10th canto, and thus the basis of this book will be the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The pastimes of the Lord are generally heard and relished by liberated persons. Those who are conditioned souls are interested in reading stories of the material activities of some common men. Actually, similar narrations describing the transcendental activities of the Lord are found in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. The conditioned souls still prefer to study ordinary pastimes. They are not so interested in studying the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord Krishna. And yet, the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord are so attractive that they are relishable for all classes of men. There are 3 classes of men in the world. One class consists of liberated souls, another consists of those who are trying to be liberated, and the third consists of materialistic men. Whether one is liberated or is trying to be liberated, or trying to be liberated, or is even grossly materialistic, the pastimes of Lord Krishna are worth studying. Liberated souls have no interest in materialistic activities. The impersonalist theory that after liberation one becomes inactive and need not hear anything does not prove that a liberated person is actually inactive. A living soul cannot be inactive. He is active either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state. A diseased person, for example, is also active, but his activities are all painful. The same person, when freed from the diseased condition, is still active, but in the healthy condition, the activities are full of pleasure. Similarly, the impersonalists only seek to get free from the diseased, conditioned activities, but they have no information of activities in the healthy condition. Those who are actually liberated and in full knowledge take to hearing the activities of Krishna. Such engagements is pure spiritual activity. It is essential for persons who are actually liberated to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. That is the supreme relishable subject matter for one who is in the liberated state. Also, if persons who are trying to be liberated hear such narrations as the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then their path of liberation becomes very clear. The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam. By studying the Gita, one becomes fully Krishna conscious of the position of Lord Krishna. And when he is situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, if he understands the narrations of Krishna as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord Chaitanya has therefore described his fortunate followers, has advised his fortunate followers that their business is to propagate Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha means narrations about Krishna. There are 2 Krishna Kathas, narrations spoken by Krishna and narrations spoken about Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita is the narration or the philosophy on the science of God, spoken by Krishna himself. Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration about the activities and transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Both are Krishna Katha. It is the order of Lord Chaitanya that Krishna Katha should be spread all over the world, because if the conditioned souls suffering under the pangs of material existence take to Krishna Katha, then their path of liberation will be open and clear. The purpose of presenting this book is primarily to induce people to understand Krishna or Krishna Katha, because thereby they can become freed from material bondage. This Krishna Katha will also be very much appealing to the most materialistic persons, because Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, the cowherd girls, are exactly like the loving affairs between the young girls and boys within this material world. Actually, the sex feeling found in human society is not unnatural, because this same sex feeling is there in the original personality of Godhead. The spiritual potency is called Srimati Radharani. The attraction of loving affairs on the basis of sex feeling is the original feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we, the conditioned souls, being part and parcel of the Supreme, have such feelings also, but they are experienced within a perverted, minute condition. Therefore, when those who are after sex life in this material world hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, they will relish transcendental pleasure, and although it appears to be materialistic, the advantage will be that they will gradually be elevated to the spiritual platform. In the Bhagavad Gita it is stated that if one hears the pastimes of the Lord Krishna with the gopis from authorities with submission, then he will be promoted to the platform of transcendental loving service to the Lord. And the material disease of the lust within his heart will be completely vanquished. In other words, such hearing will counteract material sex life. This book, Krishna, which is filled with Krishna Katha, will thus appeal equally to the liberated souls and to persons who are trying to be liberated, as well as to the gross conditioned materialist. According to the statement of Maharaj Parikshit, who heard about Krishna from Shukadeva Goswami, Krishna Katha is equally applicable to every human being, whatever condition of life he is in. Surely everyone will appreciate it to the highest magnitude. But Maharaj Parikshit, who also warned that the persons who are simply engaged in killing animals and in killing themselves may not be very much attracted to Krishna Katha. In other words, ordinary persons who are following the regulative moral principles of scriptures, no matter in what condition they are found, will certainly be attracted, but not persons who are killing themselves. The exact word used in Srimad Bhagavatam is Pashugna, which means killing animals or killing oneself. Persons who are not self-realized, who are not interested in spiritual realization, are killing themselves. They are committing suicide, because this human form of life is especially meant for self-realization. By neglecting this important part of his activities and simply one's wasting his time like the animals, so he is Pashugna. The other meaning of the word refers to those who are actually killing animals. This means persons who are animal eaters, even dog eaters, for they are all engaged in killing animals in so many ways, such as hunting and opening slaughterhouses. Such persons cannot be interested in Krishna Katha. King Parikshit was especially interested in hearing about Krishna Katha because he knew that his forefathers, particularly his grandfather Arjuna, were victorious in the great battle of Kurukshetra only because of Krishna. We may also take this material world as the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Everyone is struggling hard for existence in this battlefield, and at every step there is danger. According to Maharaj Parikshit, the battle of Kurukshetra was just like a vast ocean full of dangerous animals. His grandfather Arjuna had to fight with such great heroes as Bhishma, Drona and Karna, and many others who were not ordinary fighters. Such warriors have been compared to the Timingila fish in the ocean. The Timingila fish can very easily swallow up big whales. The great fighters on the battlefield of Kurukshetra could swallow up many Arjunas very easily. But simply due to Krishna's mercy, Arjuna was able to kill all of them, just as one can cross with no exertion over the little bit of water contained in the hoofprint of a calf. So Arjuna, by the grace of Krishna, was able to very easily jump over the ocean of the battle of Kurukshetra. Maharaj Parikshit was very much appreciative of Krishna's activities for many reasons. Not only was his grandfather saved by Krishna, but he himself was saved by Krishna. By the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, both the sons and grandsons of the side of Dhritarashtra and those on the side of the Pandavas, had died in the fighting. Except for the 5 Pandava brothers, everyone died in the battle of Kurukshetra. Maharaj Parikshit was at that time within the womb of his mother. His father, Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna, also died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And so Maharaj Parikshit was a posthumous child. When he was in the womb of his mother, a Brahman weapon was released by Aswatthama to kill the child. When Parikshit Maharaj's mother, Uttara, appeared to approach Krishna, Krishna, seeing the danger of abortion, entered her womb as the Supersoul and saved Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit's other name is Vishnu Rata because he was saved by Lord Vishnu himself while still in the womb. Thus everyone in any condition of life should be interested in hearing about Krishna and his activities because he is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. He is all-pervading. Inside he is lying within everyone's heart, and outside he is living as his universal form. And yet, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, he appears as he is in the human society just to invite everyone to his transcendental abode, back home, back to Godhead. Everyone should be interested in knowing about Krishna, and this book is presented with the purpose that people may know about Krishna and be perfectly benefited in this human form of life. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Baladev is described as the son of Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva. Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, had 16 wives, and out of them was Rohini, and one of them was Rohini, the mother of Baladev. But Baladev is also described as the son of Devaki. So how could he be the son of both Devaki and Rohini? This was one of the questions put by Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadeva Goswami and will be answered in due course. Maharaj Parikshit was also asked Shukadeva Goswami why Sri Krishna, just after his appearance as the son of Vasudeva, was immediately carried to the house of Nanda Maharaj as in Vrindavan, Gokula. He also wanted to know what the activities of Lord Krishna were while he was in Vrindavan and while he was in the Mathura. Besides that, he was especially inquisitive to know why Krishna killed his maternal uncle, Kamsa. Kamsa, being the brother of his mother, was a very intimate superior to Krishna. So how was it that he killed Kamsa? Also, Maharaj Parikshit also asked how many years Lord Krishna remained in human society, how many years he reigned in the kingdom of Dwarka, and how many wives he accepted there. A Kshatriya king is accustomed to accept more than one wife. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit also inquired about his number of wives. Capital H, his number of wives, Krishna's number of wives. The subject matter is of this book is Sukadeva Goswami's answering of these and rather difficult other questions asked by Maharaj Parikshit. The position of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami is unique. Maharaj Parikshit is the right person to hear about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. and Shukadeva Goswami is the right person to describe them. If such a fortunate combination is made possible, then Krishna Katha immediately becomes revealed, and people may benefit to the highest possible degree from such a conversation. This narration was presented by Shukadeva Goswami when Maharaj Parikshit was prepared to give up his body, fasting on the bank of the Ganges. In order to assure Shukadeva Goswami that by hearing Krishna Katha he would not feel tired, Maharaj Parikshit expressed himself very frankly. Quote, "Hunger and thirst may give trouble to ordinary persons, or to me, but the topics of Krishna are so nice that one can hear them without feeling tired, because such hearing situates one in transcendental position." Unquote. It is understood that one must be very fortunate to hear Krishna Katha as seriously as Maharaj Parikshit did. He was especially intent on the subject matter because he is expecting death at any moment. Every one of us should be conscious of death at every moment. This life is not at all assured. At any time one can die. It does not matter whether one is a young man or an old man. So therefore, death takes place. We must be fully Krishna conscious. At his point of death, King Parikshit was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. When King Parikshit expressed his untiring desire to hear about Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami was very pleased. Shukadeva Goswami was the greatest of all Bhagavat reciters, and thus he began to speak about Krishna pastimes, which destroy all inauspicious things in this age of Kali. Shukadeva Goswami thanked the king for his eagerness to hear about Krishna, and he encouraged him by saying, quote, "My dear king, your intelligence is very keen because you are so eager to hear about the pastimes of Krishna." Unquote. He informed Maharaj Parikshit that hearing and chanting the pastimes of Krishna are so auspicious that the process purifies the three varieties of men involved: those who recite the transcendental topics of Krishna, he who hears such topics, and he who inquires about him. These pastimes are just like the Ganges water, which flows from the toe of Lord Vishnu. They purify the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. So that's the end of the introduction of Krishna book. So I'll stop there, and we'll continue with Janmastami celebrations today. Tomorrow we're observing Vyasa Puja, Prabhupada's appearance day, and there will be a video presentation. It starts right at 10 minutes to 8, so try to please be on time, even though it's going to be a very late night and many are not going to sleep very well. But try to be early. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.